USGS, or the U.S. Geologic Service. Geologic rocks in their mount that they found were very strange. They were an iron nickel composite, like that piece we just saw on the side. They actually thought this site would either be an iron mine or a meteor impact, of course. So they came out here and started researching this site. They were looking for any sites of magnetism or iron deposits. The reason why they were looking for magnetism is in that time period they thought that any crater that was on Earth, the item that actually made that crater had to be as big as the crater itself. So they were looking for a meteor 2.5 miles all the way around. We know now it was only 150 feet, so they were looking for the wrong thing. When they couldn't find that, this site was actually declared to be a volcanic steam thing. And I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever been to a volcano before or around a volcano. But those of you that have, these rocks around you look absolutely nothing. Not even close. I'm going to show you guys an example of volcanic rock up the hill over here, but these rocks around you don't even look close at all. Those over there, you can see the holes in that rock right there. They do look very similar to a volcanic rock, but that right there is actually caused by all our wind erosion. Like I mentioned that to you guys on the wind that we're getting out here. That is all that right there. It's actually wind erosion.
So the meteor is actually only 150 feet? Yeah. Okay, yeah, because we're looking at it like the size of...
Nope, only 150 feet.
I wonder where did it go?
80% of it instantly exploded.
Okay.
When it hit on impact, it was so hot, so heavy, going so fast. When it impacted the ground, it instantly liquefied. It went up with a large ash plume from that explosion. It solidified again in the air, and then it fell back down to Earth as something we call spheroids. That is all around us for about 7 miles. They're tiny little sand-sized particles of that meteorite. The other 20% is what you guys see inside those big pieces, and the small pieces that we actually sell at the gift shop. That's those small pieces, the other 20%. But anybody have any other questions?
I do.
Yes.
What is the white spot down there?
The white spot, I'm going to actually talk about that in a minute, but those are mine shafts down there. There's 2 white spots down at the bottom. Yeah, those are mine shafts. We're going to talk more about that down the trail a little bit down here before I get you guys moving. But what I was going to talk about, I forgot to say, the only thing that says volcano in this area for miles and miles around is going to be those peaks over there. You guys can all see that mountain range?
Yeah.
That's the San Francisco peaks over there. There is about 200 active volcanoes in that area to this day. The last time that erupted was about 900 years ago, and that would be sunset craters. But nothing at this site actually says volcano at all. All right, any other questions for me? All right, just so you guys know, with the whole mask thing, the reason I take off my mask out here is because it is very hard to talk out here without that mask, and it's also very hot. So feel free to take off yours. It's completely up to you guys. But if nobody wants to go inside and everybody is ready to go, we are going to head along the trail now.
Simple flash. I get started about that mining operation down there. Nothing? Okay, so in 1902, Mr. Daniel Beringer heard about this site from his good friend Samuel Holsinger. Mr. Beringer was actually a very wealthy silver miner up in Tucson. He came down here in 1902, saw this site, bought the mining rights, thinking that he could mine up all the meteorite from this impact and then sell it to the railroad and make a fortune. So And then if you look to that far rim over there, you see that red line of dirt that goes all the way along the rim, basically one big red wash. That is actually a 1,300-foot mine shaft that goes straight down through the rim. And then to the right-hand side of that, there's another little gray patch of land. You guys can see that too, right? That goes into the rim, meets up with that 1,300-foot mine shaft. It's basically a repair tunnel. So he can repair his tools, exchange drill bits, do that sort of thing without pulling it all up and out of that mine shaft himself. And that was actually the last mine shaft he ever dug, right over there. He got his drill bit stuck about 1,300 feet down and he called it quits. But he mined here for about 26 years in all those 28 different mine shafts, and he never found anything inside this crater at all. Nothing significant, but just very small pieces. All those large pieces that you guys have seen, they were all found outside of the crater itself. That big piece you guys saw was found 2 miles outside on the rim of Canyon Diablo. That was found in 1908 by Mr. Samuel Holsinger. I mentioned him quickly. But he was actually on a mail run too, guys. He saw that meteorite sticking out of the ground, just a small piece of it, and he just thought, I'll pick it up, put it in my saddlebag, and take it back to the mining camp. After getting it uncovered, it's a 1,400-pound meteorite, so it took a little bit. You can put your hand down, I'll get you out after this. It took a little bit too much than one man to do it, so it took 6 men, a mule and a buggy to get it loaded up and back to the site. When you guys go back into that museum over there on that right-hand side, there's a picture that says, "Can you guess my weight?" above it. Yeah. It's actually an original picture in 1908 of them loading up that meteorite back and getting it back to the site. So definitely go check that out. You had a question?
If he dug like really deep straight, how did he get out?
With that winch I told you asked about those 2 black things. The winch is how they got all the people in and out of that mine shaft. So yeah, that's how they would do that. But after mining here for those 26 years and not finding anything, he went back to Philadelphia where he was actually born and raised and actually shortly passed away after. But because he was out here for so long, lived on this land and mined on it, he actually became the owner of this land because of the Homestead Act. How many of you guys know what the Homestead Act is? Who does not know what the Homestead Act is? A lot of no's. Okay, so I'm going to explain that real quick. So basically, the U.S. government was promoting people coming over to this side of the country in the 1800s. This was just one large territory, the Wild West, as it were. The way they were doing that was different acts and different bills. One of those was the Penny for an Acre Act and the Homestead Act. So basically, if you kept an area of land livable for about 5 to 10 years, made improvements upon that land and changes to it, it actually became yours. So Mr. Beringer became the owner of this crater and 2 miles outside of it, and he has passed down his family ever since. It's still owned by the Beringer family to this day. Huh. You might be asking, what are the improvements that he made to the crater? And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. If you were to look over there, and you guys were coming up that road to the actual crater, you saw that dirt road that went up to the rim. Yeah. That's actually that original road that was actually out here. That used to go all the way to Route 66. Before that, there was no road out here. People used to just drive out into the middle of the desert, get stuck, and then the ranch around us, this is basically one large ranch, they would have to hire ranch hands specifically to rescue people off of their property. So they had to make some sort of agreement, and they made that road that came all the way out here. The other change that he made is there was also a mining town on that southern rim over there. That is where all the miners for this operation would stay, is on that southern rim. That's where they were all at. They would hike up and down into the crater every single day. Oh, that brings me to all this land around us, pretty much as far as the eye can see. That is owned by the Chilsons and the Tremaines. Those 2 families are cattle ranching families, and they own over 326,000 acres of cattle ranching all the way around us. They got that in the 1800s. I mentioned the Penny for an Acre Act quickly, but that one's pretty self-explanatory. 1 penny, 1 acre, and they were very rich families in that time period, so they just jumped on that opportunity, bought up all that land, and they still hold it to this day. So those 3 families, I got you in a second, the Chilsons, the Tremaines, and the Beringers all worked together to make Meteor Crater Enterprises, and that is who we're run by today. So we are privately owned, federally protected, but not federally funded. So all the stuff you guys saw inside the crater there, this pathway here, and all those observation decks, that is funded by your guys' submissions. We don't get a single penny of the government funding, so it's all you guys. You had a question? Oh, I mean, honestly, I really don't know. That's quite an advanced question. For somebody like you, I didn't think that I would hear that. But I don't know a lot, is what I can really tell you.